Good morning. Good morning, Benjo. How did you get in here that fast? I am back, guys. I'm back from Thanksgiving and I'm excited to talk about the stock in this video. Okay, if I haven't met you, my name's Jeremy. I'm not a professional YouTuber, I'm a financial advisor. These videos are not financial advice, of course. I'm here to talk about the stock. I'm here to talk about GameStop in particular. Um, but of course, just level-headed fundamental analysis, right? And in this video, I really want to try to recap like everything from the past week because there's actually been a lot to talk about. So I want to try to hit all the high points. We had maybe some tea leaves from Ryan Cohen as far as some stuff going on in his Twitter. We have Michael Burry flexing some GME um, legacy involvement and potentially current and future involvement. We've got the stock that's turned around and moving in a good direction. Um, Hopefully to continue. We got earnings coming up in just 8 days. Bitcoin and the markets crashing, which has implications in multiple ways for GameStop. I'm going to try to just kind of put my 2 cents on all the kind of happenings that have happened and try to catch up, as well as just answer questions. Because I know it's been a long 5 days, guys, since I last posted, and my most recent post didn't even really count because that was just talking about the Guardian article that covered me, so that was kind of cool. What's up, the Grape Ape? Don't worry, we're here. What's up, Osmo size? Clap green today. Are you properly hydrated? Hey, good morning, Mark. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning. What is up? What is up, everyone? Andrew, what's up? What's up? Members of the channel, 36 y'all already in here. I mean, just way to go. John, welcome, welcome, welcome. I missed you guys too, if you're wondering, just so you know. Too long to be gone. I got to plan that better next time I travel. Because 5 days, too long. So we're green. We're green so far, which is exciting. Super exciting. I know this chart is, a little bit controversial to be looking at a chart from Robinhood, so I won't leave it on here forever. I'll just reference it every now and then, and we can leave the numbers that we all agree on as the background for the majority of the stream. But every now and then, I mean, hey, markets just opened, and it's hard to say we're ripping because, of course, if you zoom out, it's like, hey, we got a long way to go before we're even close to fundamental value. But still, it's nice to see a green day. You gotta like that. Benjo from Austria? I didn't even know that, man. Welcome. Jesse. Hey, thanks. Jesse says, give him a thumbs up and subscribe to his channel. I appreciate that, Jesse. I do appreciate it. I will try to be attentive to the chat because I do want to catch up on any questions you might be having. And there might be some stuff from the past week that I don't even I don't talk on. So if I miss something, feel free to chime in. Of course, supers are appreciated, and I will see them easier, and they will jump to the front of the line. But it is not an expectation at all. It's not a requirement. It's not something you need to feel obligated to do. The Grape wants to talk about Burry, which we will do for sure. We could. I mean, I want to almost take this in order of events, but let's just start chipping away at it. So I guess how I want to frame this conversation is I wish I had a way to maybe put in a drawing. Maybe I do. If I just move in here and insert a drawing, I wonder if this will work. Y'all seeing my screen? Yeah. Probably so. I feel like as I think about the past 5 years of GameStop, thanks, Brick and Mortar. I appreciate the love. What's up, Charlie? Great to see y'all. I wonder what's the best way I can do this. This is kind of stupid because it's all just like shapes, huh? It is kind of just shapes. Well, whatever. Y'all will get the idea. Like somewhere, this is so stupid. There's got to be like, whatever. We'll just make this work for now. And I'll work on my own end another day. Give me something kind of nice to look at least. Whatever. Here's like, we'll call this like this top line is like this is like the technical value of GameStop. And when you think about where we've been, the squeeze that happens, or the sneeze, you could say, in 2021. What's up, Doe BTF? And then the stock gets suppressed, right? And for these 5 years, we've been suppressed. If you've been long on GameStop, the main case has been, hey, the fundamental turnaround will happen eventually. But we know, even in 2021, we know that shorts have to cover, right? And we know that, okay, there's 10 years, 12 years of intentional destruction of value. There's shorts of this company worth multitudes of what the underlying company is worth. And if they all have to close, it's going to force a cataclysmic event, right? And so, like, the squeeze or the sneeze that happened in 2021 was not obviously fundamentally driven. It was technically driven. And the suppression that's happened since 2021 has not really been a fundamental suppression. It's been a technical suppression. But the technical value of GameStop, I mean, you could say, like, is it continuing to go higher? Is it a little bit lower? Right? That's really, it's a big question, but it doesn't really matter yet. What's up, Chris? Because and what you think about this is really like your way of saying how much of the shorts have closed over the past 5 years, over this volatility, over GameStop dilutions, over the convertibles, right? Have shorts of GameStop been able to unwind any amount of their position in the past 5 years? If you think they've been able to unwind some of it, you would say, well, the technical value of GameStop, like the upside of MOAS, might be slightly lower than what you perceived it to be in 2021. If you think that all of this volatility has not afforded them any ability to unwind, and that actually every time that GameStop has diluted or convertibles, whatever, that all that has happened is can kicking and double downing, right? That up here, of course, they increased their shorts, right? And these valuations, no doubt they increased their shorts. Did they close any in 2023, 2024? Or were they just upping their short percentage, right? What do you think about the underlying technical MOAS boom within GameStop? If you think that shorts are even more short now than ever, then you'd say, well, the technical value's even higher than ever. It's been going up since 2021. The hole that short sellers are in is even bigger than it is. For now, I'll just call it flat. The point that I'm trying to make before I dive into all the nuts and bolts is that we have seen there's two other values to consider. And the one that drives us all crazy is the market value, right? And the market value, golly, has been basically going down And the part that makes us frustrated is the market value is way below the technical value, right? We know that this peak in January of 2021 was not the true technical peak were it not for funny business going on in the stock, right? It would have kept going. And that's like, I'm not even going to go into the justifications for that in this video. But then you see this market value continue to come down, and particularly the enterprise value. So now the market value of GameStop, right, is whatever, 10 billion. And you could say, well, hey, but back here in February, April of 2024, it was less. It was closer to 5 billion. It's like, well, yeah, but GameStop has 8 billion more in cash than they did then. The enterprise value, the value of just GameStop, the retailer, net of their cash, has continued to come down over this period of time. And what has been disillusioning for an investor is, oh man, like do the technicals even matter, right? Because the market value is so much lower. And what's really important is that this third value, fundamental, the fundamental value since 2021 has been going up, right? And obviously, this is not like a well done chart. I get it. Leave me alone, okay? But hopefully, it's a visualization for you. Say that, okay, the technical value is somewhere very high, right? How big is the MOAS potential? Is it higher or lower than it was in 2021? It doesn't necessarily matter because it's very high, right? And the more that shorts close, the higher that becomes, because obviously the more shorts then have to close and the higher price that they then have to close at, right? We get it. Okay. The market value, though, of the enterprise has kept coming down, and it makes you think that the fundamentals don't matter. But the reality is that the fundamentals are just now crossing over the market value. And could it be that the fundamentals, after these earnings come out in 8 days, right, this breaking point being more clear than ever, could that be the catalyst to not only the fundamental value being appreciated, but also the technical value ultimately being appreciated? That's really the question and the excitement. And some people think that the fundamentals don't matter because we've been trading so much lower than our technical value, right? The stock has been suppressed and we've been trading down here. And it makes you think, well, if we're being suppressed, then who even cares about the fundamentals? But it's like, well, the fundamentals are just now catching up and breaking through. And I'm personally very, very excited about what this fundamental breakout is going to do for the stock, where the market value of the stock, no matter what way you look at it, like for how I value the company, I would have said the fundamentals crossed over a couple quarters ago. But if you want to look at the company very, very conservatively, basically the last quarter that you can possibly argue that GameStop is fairly valued, right? That market value reflects fundamental value. The last quarter that you could say that that's true is right now, the quarter two numbers. Once these quarter three numbers come out, there is no doubt, no matter how skeptical you are as an investor, there is no doubt that this fundamental value is going to be in excess of their market value, or the market value is also going to invert, right? Oh my goodness, it's going to go crazy bonanzas, you know? And that's really the question. Does market value, as fundamental value starts to break out, does market value actually follow suit? And now all of a sudden we see a march towards the technical value. And does that technical value continue to actually increase, right, as fundamental and market value are growing, right? That's kind of the question, the excitement, the anticipation. Hopefully y'all understand that, and that wasn't too lame of a chart. What's up, Peter? Good to see you. Hey, I have no hard feelings against anyone else on the internet. So I don't know if other people have bad things to say about me, but I do not have any ill will. And no one has talked to me, I don't know, again, I don't know what people are saying out there in the wild, but none of them have like reached out to me and be like, "Hey, can you help me understand what you meant by this?" or "Hey, are you actually doing this?" or whatever. So, anyways, my comments are open. My email is public. If someone wanted to know me better, they are welcome to. What's up, D Goads? What's up, John? What's Olem? What's up, Olem? Earnings is on your birthday. Let's go. It's going to be a great birthday present. What's up, 110 of y'all in here? Okay, so we framed the conversation a little bit in this horrible chart, right? I will have to delete because it's the grossest looking thing I've ever seen. But hopefully you guys understand why am I even talking about the fundamentals and why do I think they matter, right? I'll make a better version of that one day. Let's talk about some things that I've missed. Starting with maybe, okay, Chris says don't delete the chart. I'm not going to delete it. I just need to make it better. And honestly, put numbers to it, Like, for example, oh man, so much beauty. Let's zoom back in. The enterprise value, market cap net of the book value, right? We have numbers for it, right? Before Ryan Cohen bought in, it was at negative 400 million. And then all of a sudden it spikes to 15 billion. And then it's been coming down for a while, right? 9.5, then it's 8, then it's 7, then it's 5, little pop to 6, and then it's 4, and then it's 2. And again, another pop. This is after they report their full year profit. So they're profitable on a net income basis on a trailing 12 month. So they pop from 2 all the way up to 8. But then again, they're coming down again, 5, 7, 5. And now all of a sudden we're looking at back at 2, despite our earnings being dramatically higher than at any point they were back then. And so for so anyways, you guys know, you get the idea. Very exciting time. So Ryan Cohen's Twitter, is it still there? I like to cover this type of stuff in live streams because obviously I focus on the fundamentals. The reason I do is because I think it's the catalyst for the not only long-term, but even short-term appreciation of GameStop stock. And it's what we can actually control. It's what we can discern. And sometimes reading tea leaves can get you into some trouble, but it's still a little bit fun to talk about, right? So what did I want to talk about? This profile picture, right? Ryan Cohen changes his profile picture on X to this Tetris meme. I mean, I don't know if you would call it a meme. It's a meme because Ryan Cohen posted it, I guess. But hey, it's about to complete a Tetris, and it's the missing piece, right? What is the missing piece? Well, again, if we're going to go back to the conversation that we're framing, it's like the missing piece is Q3 earnings. Q3 numbers coming out in 8 days is the missing piece that sends fundamental value very clearly in excess of market value, right? And why does that happen? It's very simply because the trailing 12-month earnings goes from 102 million to 278 million, right? Trailing 12-month operating income is about to triple. So that's why fundamental value is about to break out. So if it's fairly valued right now, That means you think it's going to go up 3x in a few weeks. The enterprise value. Now, if the enterprise value actually goes up 3x, which I'm not necessarily predicting, you're still talking about from a $3 billion enterprise, right, net of their cash. If you're to value their cash very conservatively, this isn't how I would value the company. I'm just saying, if you want to value the company from a bearish perspective, then this is how about you would value the company. And you say, okay, well, from a 3 up to what, basically 8. From a 3 to an 8, it's about a 2.7x in their enterprise value, which would mean that you're keeping that same current PE ratio despite yet another quarter of super impressive growth numbers. Really, that PE should also grow, right? It really should. But if you want to say it shouldn't, then okay, worst case, you're adding 5 billion in market cap to GameStop, and 5 billion to a $10 billion company is a 50% growth. You know, a 50% growth puts you at about a 31 per share, 32. Now all of a sudden you're talking about warrants exercising. You're talking about these convertibles are officially above the conversion prices, so we can stop talking about this money as if you have to net out all of the debt right away, even though it's not due for 7 years. Like, it changes the conversation dramatically, right? We're just not, so what's the missing piece, right? What's the missing piece? I think the missing piece to the Tetris moment for GameStop is Q3 numbers coming out. And really, more granularly, you could say it's Power Packs. Power Packs is the missing piece to the GameStop fundamental turnaround, not only because it's doing a lot in sales, right? We know it's doing hundreds of millions in sales, but because of what it represents for GameStop's future, because these sales are super, super scalable. They are all online, and they are much more akin to a truly entertainment product, right? The Power Packs is akin to a gambling product, which is very sticky and a huge market, growing market share, right? So what's the growth rate for their digital Power Packs? What's the roadmap of how long could they continue high growth? It's a long, long way, right? And it's a superior product to gambling because it's not, right? You actually are getting something in return. You're exchanging value, but these dollars are worth so much more than GameStop's other dollars as it relates to the missing piece to the GameStop equation, because the Switch 2 is doing huge numbers, but you're still only going to sell them in your stores. And sure, you can sell some of them online, right? But there's still a physical fulfillment, right? It requires your network of stores. It's very, very physical retail. And so you're just not going to get a huge PE on that. And by the way, GameStop doesn't manufacture the Switch 2, right? They just sell it. They're just the distribution arm for Nintendo. So GameStop's not going to get a huge premium on Nintendo's back. GameStop's going to get a huge premium on what GameStop creates. And they created this Power Packs product. It's high growth, it's scalable growth, and it's in a different industry. It is not in the physical retail industry. It's not even really in the retail industry. Their physical Power Packs are retail. Their marketplace for graded cards on their website, that is retail. But their digital Power Packs is entertainment. It is gambling adjacent as far as how would you categorize this from an industry perspective. And the moment for GameStop, it is like Tesla back in 2018, 2019, when all the analysts were like, this is way overvalued, right? It shouldn't be trading this high because it's a car maker. And all the bulls of Tesla were saying it's not just a car maker anymore. Okay, this is a technology company. And you still see that argument being made, right? Tesla saying we are an AI company. We have 15 startups within this company, right? We're a high growth tech company that should have a high PE multiple, not a car maker that should be limited at a 10 PE, right? And that's the shift that GameStop is in the middle of, saying, hey, our growth is scalable growth, it's sticky, addictive, rich value growth, far superior to other products in the industry. And by the way, the collectibles market is another market we're getting into that has huge, huge upside, right? So, in my opinion, is Ryan Cohen sending a sign that the stock is going to the moon? Not necessarily, right? But I mean, I think this is without much speculation. Yeah, there's a sign. There's a sign there. Like it's almost done. We got one piece coming. I think it's Q3 numbers and power packs. Let's see. What's up, Perez? Efrain Perez. What's up, Olem? He says, I just want to see how this whole thing concludes in the end. He says the whole entire saga is so interesting to me, and you are a part of it. Thanks, Olem. I appreciate that. And he also says the 10 is a very big part of it. I agree. Like, it's not the part I focus on. I'm not that good at like unique level 10 interpretation. And I personally, okay, in 21, 22, 23, what's up, baby UFO? Glad you're here. Like I sent a lot of money on short dated out of the money calls, thinking that I was positive about what 10 was being communicated by GameStop or by Ryan Cohen or by Roaring Kitty. And so I just don't dive deep into 10 because I know that when you think you're positive about something and you think you're positive about when, it can leave you in a huge hole, a huge financial hole. And so I like to stick to the fundamentals. But again, the fundamentals are just super, super exciting. Peter says, what price is possible in MOAS? I mean, like possible is really just like what could what could happen without the entire world collapsing, you know? And I think you're definitely in a trillion plus valuation at least, which at 500 million shares is what, 2000 a share or something, and it could be more than that. Like the like forced immediate closure of GameStop shares, anyways, as far as MOAS goes, one of my questions is the forced immediate closure. Like this moment happening in January 2021, right? Where Marge is calling and you have to sell right now, you have to pay it back right now. I feel like my hunch is that the system has been corrected to where the ability to kick the can is greater to avoid a situation like this ever happening again. So I think it's more likely that we're just up and to the right for a century, like as literally for years and years and years, shorts are unwinding at an extremely high cost, right? Extremely underwater, probably being bailed out. But for all of the shorts that be forced to unwind in a single day or a single week, I have a hard time envisioning that would be allowed. And I don't know if we even want that, because if it happens again, I'm like, what's stopping the whole world from printing all the money again and turning off the buy buttons again? And obviously there's a lot of fundamental value supporting the stock, bringing it higher, that I feel like if the shorts involvement, as soon as this flips in Q3, well, in 8 days, like when this moment happens and fundamental value crosses over market value, I'm like, what's stopping basically 10-year run or 50-year run where the market value is growing at a time and a half what the fundamental value is growing at, right? To eventually eclipse this technical value, you know. Um, I don't know, right? The Tesla-esque squeeze, but we know that the shorts involved in Tesla were a fraction compared to the shorts involved in GameStop. You know, I don't really like if we're only growing at 100% every year for the next 50 years, like I'll be fine. You know what I mean? So I'm not even trying, like, I don't want anything I'm saying right now about Moaz to like be interpreted as somehow I'm very like bearish or like a shill or like I'm telling you to sell your shares. You know, like I think the long, I think the short term and the long term, no matter if shorts are forced to close or if they get more time to close, like I think no matter what way you slice the pie, it's a really attractive opportunity right now at this valuation to be buying shares, right? Not financial advice, of course, or warrants, you know, or whatever whatever exposure you want to buy. Um, what's up, Battle Rat? What's up, John? Um, yeah, fundamentals and pumpamentals. You got to know the difference, but yeah, both are a part of it. Bachman says that Beckett Cat is saying 27 or 30 in earnings and then back to 20. I don't know if it can go back to 20. Obviously, it can. Like in the short run, of course, anything can happen in the stock. But this, like, we just barely touched 20 with a trailing 12 month that was almost a third of what trailing 12 month is going to be in 8 days. You know, so it's hard for me to say like that's where that we're going to head back to 20. Although, of course, when you're looking at charts, of course, it's possible. You know, but to say that, oh, we're going to be stuck at 20 sideways for 3 months until the next earnings, I don't see that in the cards at all, personally. I really don't. So anyways, the other part of this Tetris tin is that GameStop tweeted this in, I think, March of 2021, and GameStop went on a big run within the next week of that post on X. And also, since Ryan Cohen changed his profile to this, GameStop deleted that original post on X. So, hey, kind of exciting, right? The missing piece. Let's talk about Michael Burry now. And I agree that, well, actually, I'm not sure what's being communicated. Also, I missed a couple comments. C12 says, if GME could turn Buck the Bunny more marketable, give him a TV show or something, more kids and teens would be into him. And it's me, BK says, I don't trust Burry. So, hey. Yeah, I mean, Buck the Bunny. So, anyways, that's honestly another thing I haven't even talked about is GameStop's lost cartridge thing. Which I don't know if I'll be able to quickly find a post for it. Golly, just take me to GameStop. But they made a game, right? Which I thought there's no way they're going to get into game creating because of Ryan Cohen's interview saying they're only going to go for low effort, like easy returns within software. Okay, I can't even find it here. Oh, there it is. So there you go. Buck and the Curse cartridge. I doubt this is a needle mover financial in the short run, but pretty exciting that apparently GameStop does have the ability to produce games that are obviously low quality graphics, right? More of a retro vibe, just for fun, just something to do, right? Almost similar to a mobile game, right? Just like I'm not going to get super into it, but just something fun to play. GameStop can make them and sell them at a price that they make money and it's low hanging fruit. Like that's encouraging to see that GameStop has that ability. Um, what's up, Sky Bike? Good morning. Good morning. Okay, but back to what was I talking about? Are we going Michael Burry? Maybe we're going Michael Burry next. I guess I should just do it here. Where is he? What's up, Cassandra? So I want to bring it to someone said, like, I don't trust Burry. And I felt like that was maybe a relevant place to start. And the reason I say that is because obviously he is now selling a membership to his Substack. So if you are, is it really every second, John? Is it really every second that audio is cutting me off? No, it's definitely not just you. Like it happens. It happens when I live stream, and I don't know how to get my internet to get get it fixed, you know? I don't know how to fix it. Um so we'll power through. We'll power through. Okay, so maybe refresh the stream and sometimes that helps. You know? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry about it. So, if you think that this recent like discussion from Michael Burry about GameStop doesn't matter, the reason you would say that is he's selling memberships and paywalling the content towards his membership. And you could say that, hey, that like obviously he is baiting a cult following for a stock into his next company, right? And oh, by the way, thanks for the subscribers. Thanks to those who have joined as fans and friends. I forgot to say that. Honestly, a good comparison here. So like I'm selling memberships, right? But like there's no secret content, you know? Like everything that I'm talking about as it relates to GameStop is publicly available. These, like anyone that wants to join my channel, it's just to support me and the company and the cause to get this information out to more people, right? And all the earnings are just going to GME Book DRS booked GME shares, right? So there's like a, hey, this guy's making content, but he's very clearly aligned with, like, I feel I'm very aligned with you guys as it relates to the nature of my content. What's the goal of what I'm trying to accomplish? What's the goal of what you guys are trying to accomplish? How can I educate you? How can I help you guys educate more people? Right? How can the company be better off? More people understand what's going on with the company. And there's no like exclusion, there's no discord, there's no secret society, there's no pyramid, right? Cassandra's it could be like Michael Burry could just be saying, like, hey, let me say some stuff to get some people to sign up. And that's all there is to it. Like that genuinely could be the case. But he did say in some ways he wasn't really done in Q4 of 2019 as far as his involvement with GameStop. And yeah, it is a good point, Jay Card. He said, like, on Superstock, like people are posting his paywalled information. So yeah, he should probably figure that one out. Michael Burry. So Ryan Cohen reaches out to Michael Burry. It's pretty provocative. Like, hey, I want to jump on the call and talk to you. So, okay, Michael Burry, we all know like this is a whatever. He wanted GameStop to stop spending so much money and to buy back shares. They did, and he sold his position. But he's saying, in some ways, I wasn't really done. It doesn't mean he's a long term holder. I don't know. And then, whatever, the next day, he's like, hey, I bet you didn't know this. And it's a letter from Keith Gill, right? But nothing substantive, right? He's just saying, like, hey, I bet you didn't know that Roy and Katie reached out to me, you know? And that's really all we have so far. So as far as like, is Michael Burry the catalyst? I don't know. I mean, he's certainly a whale. If he were to leg into GameStop, I think that would be great. Um, but I don't really necessarily. There's nothing he's said so far that to me makes me feel like, oh yeah, it's imminent. He's coming. This is the moment. I do think, again, as we're framing all of this, I do think that he's aware of the fundamental value beginning to usurp the market value. I don't think he was particularly interested in GameStop from 2021 to 2024, right? I don't think he has been buying and buying and buying. You know what I mean? I think it's very possible that after these numbers come out in Q3, that he does open a public position, which I think is great. I think that's exciting. I don't think that it'd be unfair if he gets credit for being the catalyst in that case, because again, in my opinion, the catalyst is the fundamentals. However, and Do BTF just said this. He says Burry's influence on the market can't be understated. When he published his short position on Palantir and Nvidia, both of those huge companies addressed him publicly in mainstream financial media. It's true. They like he's similar to like the Citron Research or some of these other um, hedge funds that are more sell side hedge funds, more bearish hedge funds, right? That put out not necessarily hit pieces, but genuine financial reasons for concern within different companies that then the companies have to respond to, right? It takes huge wind out of the sails of the bull case, and all of a sudden, huge um, opportunities for bears to pounce on. Dan wants to talk about price targets, which we can talk about. Dan, if you want to, I don't know if you've watched all my videos, but so anyways, let me finish up Michael Burry here. That's basically all I want to say about it right now. I think it's very possible that he opens a public position in GameStop. Right now, he is publicly very short on some of the high growth names, and there has certainly been speculation for forever, right, for 84 years, that the catalyst of GameStop's appreciation will be the market losing a bunch of value, which so far hasn't happened, right? Still sitting at all-time highs, basically, all over again. But as far as what is the catalyst, or really what are the catalysts to amass, to reach GameStop's technical value, one of the primary ones has been, well, what if the stock market crashes? And could that be what forces shorts to close, right? So as it relates to Michael Burry, I think publicly, him being very short on the highest growth names in the market is exciting from that perspective, as far as what could force the market value of GameStop to more rapidly approach the technical value of GameStop. Well, a market crash could be one thing that happens, and Michael Burry publicly being very bearish in the market could help escalate or intensify a market crash. Right. So far, it hasn't totally manifested, but hey, Michael Burry posted those on, this week here, 28th, 27th, and the market is very just slightly down from where it was before his tweets, his post on X, so um so anyways, the market crash preceding a GameStop squeeze, and maybe Michael Burry is a catalyst for the market crash. Maybe. I wouldn't make any financial decisions based on anything Burry has communicated so far. Price targets, Dan. It's going to be super fun to update all this after numbers come out, because then we can update everything, right? We'll have better ability to look at floor case, fair case, fly case scenarios for software, hard collectibles, and thus the retail business as a whole, as well as the asset management business. And then you take the weighted average of all those probabilities, you add them together, you end up with, fundamentally right now, GameStop could support almost $100 billion market cap, in my opinion, which would put them, even if you fully diluted their shares now, that would still put you at $143 a share. So that number, like all of these numbers, likely are going to increase after their earnings come out, but we will see. We will see. But there's dedicated videos for almost every single one of these squares. And some content I'm going to get into soon is, what do you do with this? What do you do with this information? Because when you think about GameStop's, as it relates to its existence in your portfolio, right? What is the, bear case and bull case for the macroeconomy and for GameStop? You end up with these four quadrants, right? The market being bad and GameStop being bad is basically, it's kind of like your red square. The market being bad but GameStop being good is kind of like your yellow square. And then the market crushing and GameStop crushing is kind of like your green square. And then the market being good and GameStop being bad is really like your, but what's the worst case scenario? What is the actual, not even likely, right? It could be a 0.1% chance, right? It's your dark red, what is the actual floor of what could happen with this company? For a lot of companies, that would be this square over here. But we know that GameStop, with a negative beta, the worst case for GameStop is actually that GameStop does horrible and the overall market's crushing. If GameStop's doing horrible, but the overall market is also doing horrible, well, as a negative beta company, that's actually going to help support GameStop and put it into a range of, okay, it's bad, but it's manageable. But if GameStop's doing horrible and everything else is flying, that's just that much more gunpowder for shorts and et cetera. So anyways, I'm excited to dive deeper into this, especially as we get closer to what I think will be rapid price appreciation over these next 12 months, and then the next 12 months, and the next 12 months, and really the next month, right? And the next earnings, and the next earnings. I think it becomes more and more important to have more and more clarity on price targets, as well as what portion of your investment is there for what reasons, right? For example, for a lot of people, one reason that some people are investing in GameStop is its downside protection, right? It's the fact that they have $9 billion in the bank and they're only trading at $10 billion is really attractive to conservative investors, right? But if all of a sudden they're trading at 50 billion, Well, their downside risk is higher than it was before, right? Like if they're trading at 100 billion, it's like, well, all of a sudden the portion of your shares that are only there as a protection for your downside risk is like, well, those shares might be better put in gold. If GameStop's 10 times higher than it is today, or maybe put in cash, or, like maybe buy collectibles from GameStop, start putting some of your shares into company earnings. That would be relevant for you to know at what point does GameStop lose some of its downside protection as its price continues to appreciate, And then what's the upside, right? If GameStop is Lunar Entity says buy gold, got it. It's not what I'm saying. If GameStop's at a $200 billion market cap, what is the upside fundamentally at that point? How much higher can it go? Is it as attractive as an opportunity with 100% of your portfolio? And so anyways, I'm excited to kind of talk through the portfolio management piece and different valuation scenarios. I'm excited to get into that more. One power packs. One thing I wanted to talk about, I guess it's not actually, okay, yeah, it's not open today. I should just go to GameStop's Twitter because one of y'all mentioned it earlier. Oh, Battle Rat did. GameStop is I mean, it's looking good. Their power packs, and they are throwing gas on the fire. First of all, with $2,500, they're calling them lunar power packs. They say they arrive today. So at some point today, you're going to be able to buy a $2,500 power pack with some crazy values as it relates to the Pokemon cards that you could pull, which is insane, right? GameStop has the ability to just overnight be like, oh, I know what y'all want. Y'all want to spend 2.5 times our most expensive product. It's like, holy smokes. And the other thing here that's epic is that they were doing another physical power pack and putting golden tickets in it, right? Getting, again, another way to get into the gamification of the consumer, just another way to highlight how GameStop is shifting from a physical retailer that should get physical retail type PEs, 20, 25, 31 if they're doing really well, to an entertainment business, a gambling adjacent business, right? That could warrant PEs of 50, 60, 80 easily, right? It's insane to think about. Insane to think about. So super pumped about that. Another thing that's happened since I've been gone from 5 days ago is Bitcoin. I mean, look at this. Look at that. Down $25,000 a share over the past month. This November 1st, literally a month ago today, is when Q3 closed for GameStop. So GameStop, what does this mean for GameStop? GameStop's Bitcoin position. Let's see, where are we? Bitcoin. Boom. GameStop's Bitcoin position at the end of Q3 was $110,000. $110,000, literally $25,000 per coin higher than it is right now. I mean, just crazy. So what does this mean for GameStop? Well, first of all, it certainly means like GameStop really might buy some more at these levels, right? We know they raised 1.5 billion to be purchased. Like 1.5 billion was earmarked for Bitcoin and they only spent 500 million of it. So I said it's very unlikely that they deployed more during Q3, but I think it's possible they did. But right now during Q4, could they be deploying more into Bitcoin? I think it's almost likely. I think it's really like 60% chance that they have purchased or will purchase some more Bitcoin during Q4 to get their cost basis lower. And their cost basis, again, we know that originally they bought at 106 per coin, but their cost basis is updated every quarter. So, like, for all intents and purposes, GameStop's cost basis right now is $110,000 per coin. Now, if you see that go down by 23%, do you think you might buy a little bit more? I think they really might. But how many coins do they hold? Right? 4,710 coins. So if for whatever, like if Q4 ended today, which it doesn't, there's 2 more months of Q4. I think Bitcoin will be higher than 84K a share 2 months from now. But if the market keeps crashing, it could be lower. We all like to think of Bitcoin as a store of value, and it is an alternative store of value, but it's an alternative store of value with a beta of greater than 2, meaning historically it trades with even more volatility than the market in the same direction that the market trades. If the market's crashing 20%, Bitcoin's crashing 40%, right? Um, oh, Bobby wants to talk about the physical power packs. So I talked about the golden tickets hidden in some of those. So during Q4, it looks like they're going to sell 2 of these physical power packs, which before they've just done 1 per quarter. So that's super exciting. But Bobby says, did you show the price progression? Their first physical power packs was $29.99, and now they're all the way up to $99.99, and they are still selling out the same day. They are selling as many as they can make. Just crazy, right? Just amazing. Um, so yeah, I mean, just really incredible the products that they're putting out. So if GameStop Q4 ended today, how much money will they have lost on Bitcoin? Well, about 25.5, right? $25,500 per Bitcoin times 4,710 Bitcoin. That's $120 million of losses in Q4 if it ended today. I mean, that's crazy, right? All the more reason to be pumped up and hopeful for the fundamental breakout to occur post Q3 rather than waiting for the Q4 numbers. What does that $120 million loss mean for Q4? It means nothing for operating income, but it means a lot for interest income, right? They will probably make somewhere around 93, 94, 90 million, 89, 95 million dollars. Their interest on their cash minus, right, 120 in Bitcoin. So their interest income goes from an 83 million to a negative 40 million. That's $120 million swing, obviously. And what does that mean for GameStop's valuation? Well, nothing really. If you are valuing GameStop conservatively, then you don't care about, like, you don't put a multiple on their interest income or their Bitcoin income. If you're valuing GameStop bullishly, you'd put a multiple on this earnings number, but that would just lead you to a fundamental value for GameStop that's way in excess of where it's trading right now. So if you want to value GameStop bearishly, then you're already writing off this line anyways, right? You're just looking at a multiple based on operating income, right? So their price to earnings, if you value their earnings from cash, right? They're at like a 15 after Q2. But if you're only looking at trailing 12-month earnings from operations, well, then you could say, well, look, they're still overvalued after Q2, right? They're at a 53, right? And they should be way lower than that. Well, look, in one more quarter, it's going to go to a 10. So again, that's why I say that the fundamental breakout is happening right now. Like this is the piece. you know, it's power packs, which is driving the Q3 numbers, right? The piece is power packs, but the unveiling of the piece happens in 8 days. What does $120 million Bitcoin loss mean for GameStop's valuation? It just means that they have $120 million less in the bank. So it lowers their cash floor by 120 million. So it lowers their market cap by 120 million, or in other words, 0.1 billion, right? In real time, you could say that GameStop has lost $120 million of market cap due to Bitcoin's decline over the past month. They're not getting a multiple on that position. They're not getting, and again, if you did put a multiple on that, like if you wanted to put a multiple on their Bitcoin losses and gains and interest losses and gains, it doesn't work in the bear's favor because you're still looking at trailing 12 month. You're not looking at an isolated quarter, right? No one would look at quarter four, negative 40 million in interest income and be like, look, they're losing $160 million a year in cash. It's like, well, no, the trailing 12 would still be 210 even after that negative 40. And if you want to put a multiple on that 210 million of additional earnings, then that's going to drive their market cap even higher, right? So some people have been like very concerned about Bitcoin as it relates to GameStop and their market cap. And I'm like, look, if you it all it matters for is the value of the Bitcoin itself, right? GameStop has lost $120 million worth of cash value over the past month. But by the way, they've probably generated more than $110 million in value over the past month. Like we are in the thick of holiday sales. It's Black Friday weekend, it's Cyber Monday. Like they are raking in money faster than it's going out. Like even that $120 million loss, again, you net out 90 million of, or even if it's only 80 million of interest income. Okay, so there's a $40 million loss on interest income, but their operating income is going to be probably 200 plus in Q4. So it's still not like, oh, GameStop lost money this quarter. It's like, no, they got more money, you know. And again, we still have 2 quarters left. I'm just saying if Bitcoin's trading at 85 2 months from now, it doesn't like derail the fundamental breakout of GameStop. The worst case is it lowers GameStop's valuation by 0.12 billion, which will have already been priced in, right? Real time to the trading price. It doesn't on a multiple basis decline GameStop's market cap. And if you wanted to talk about multiple basis, it would only increase GameStop's market cap because again, their trailing 12-month interest is a gain, not a loss. They're trailing 12-month. So you would need GameStop to, like, you would need Bitcoin to argue that on a multiple basis, it should hinder their market cap. You would need Bitcoin to crash by another $25,000 per coin for 3 more quarters in a row. Like you would need Bitcoin to actually go to zero within the next 3 quarters, which is just like, I mean, it's like impossible. And even then, you would be at a break even. You wouldn't even be at a break even. Yeah, because you still have the cash generating so much money. Like that, like even if Bitcoin goes to zero within 1 quarter, their trailing 12-month interest income and gains will still be a positive number because the interest that they're generating from their cash is like in excess. Like it they have so much more cash than they have Bitcoin at the end of the day. So anyways, obviously it's better for GameStop if Bitcoin is higher, but even then, again, if you're a bear, you're not valuing that on a multiple basis. You are only looking at what's the current net cash value for the company. And some people think that Bitcoin's already valued at zero. Like like the technical traders would say you have to net out all of the Bitcoin. As a fundamental investor, it's like, no, you don't. You do not have to net out the Bitcoin. It is definitely still worth money. Chris says, good thing it's just unrealized losses. Yeah, it's unrealized technically, but it still does affect the operating state, like the operating income statement. Not operating, but it affects the income statement. Like they still have to report their unrealized losses and they still have to lower their interest income in light of their unrealized losses. So it's basically the same thing as a realized loss um, from a financial reporting perspective. Herman, what's up, Herman? Says, just had a thought. What if Burry is charging for a Substack because he wants Wall Street to pay for his info more than the retail crowd? Wouldn't that be funny? Similar to how your channel's revenue goes to DRS GME shares. So he's, charging money to Wall Street. I mean, if he was charging to Wall Street, he would be talking to Wall Street. He wouldn't be posting on X. I guarantee you he's got the number for every single important person at like the major Wall Street institutions. Like if he wants to talk to them, I bet he can schedule a meeting with them pretty easily. So, and if he's going to charge them money, he's going to charge $1 million a year, not like $40 a month or whatever. He's definitely marketing his Substack to retail investors. Now, it's possible his intentions are still pure. I'm not saying he's a snake. I'm just saying there's nothing he's said yet that gets me too excited. But we don't need his enthusiasm for the stock to still be in a really exciting place. Dan says, Burry doesn't have my number or yours, the two important people. It's true. He does not have my number. He doesn't have it, although it is publicly available in some places. So if he really wanted it, he could probably find it. Herman says, fair enough. Good content as always, man. Appreciate it, Herman. I appreciate it. Okay, have I missed anything in the past week from GameStop happenings? I mean, really a pretty eventful week. I try to do a little bit of Thanksgiving travels and all of a sudden we're up, 10, 11%. And I'm like, hey, I think the bottom's finally in. And I mean, check this out, guys. Like we booked 21 shares on the 21st, right? October earnings came in for the channel. And we locked in 21 shares at $20 a share on the 21st. Look at that. I mean, we literally bought it. We were in there like right at open, or maybe it was in the afternoon. I don't actually know. But right at the floor. I mean, way to go, Budget for Life. Freaking all-stars out here. Check that out. So we've the Budget for Life Infinity Pool, right? Us, you and I, we have locked up 34 shares at an under $21 per share price target. I wish my personal price cost basis was that low. I'm a little jelly of the channel, but we're already $60 in the green. So all the trolls in the comments always want to talk about, you're talking about GameStop fundamentals, but look, haha, the too bad you're holding bags. Too bad it's so low. Not for this channel, baby. We in the green. we are we're changing this purple to green. Boom. We in the green, baby. What's up, haters? Way to go, guys. Way to go. Afro says, if only I could go tell 2021 me to just wait before pouring capital into GME. Yeah, seriously, bro. Same. Same. Not my name. Oh, Dan says maybe you should go away more often. Yeah, maybe me going away was the catalyst for the stock. It could be. you know. I might be the one holding this thing back, guys. Not my name says, what about what he said on future advice to GME? Have you not seen? Not my name. Tell me more. What has Burry said about future advice to GME? Is there anything is there something on Super Stonk that I have not seen? That's the other thing I want to talk about is the Japan yields. This has happened in the past week as well. That the yields continue to go up, right? So if you've been following, right, the Japanese yen carry trade, then you care about. Can you show me like longer than 1 month? Look at that. So, I mean, the carry trade begins right over here in 17 to 2020, and look at what yields have done since then. Holy smokes. Herman says, oh, he'll make a post about GME sometime in December with advice. Jay Card's asking, would he provide advice without a financial interest? I think it's very possible. Like, honestly, I think it's very possible that he's just selling Substack memberships, But if you're bullish on Michael Burry's involvement, then what's up, Ken? Hey, good to see you. Then you might say, like, hey, he just closed Scion Management. Maybe that closure, has relieved him of some things he wasn't allowed to say before. Like, maybe he had some NDAs or disclosures he couldn't offer that now that he technically has closed that now he's allowed to say things. Chunkster says he's bag holding at 27. We're coming for you, dog. We're coming. So maybe he's about to spill the beans on some super exciting information and about to open a huge position. I think it's very possible, though, that he would offer advice on GameStop without having a financial interest. I think that's very possible. In that case, I think his advice would be very modest, kind of similar to Mark Cuban back in 2021, when he was like, hey, if you believe in the company, like, here's what you should do. And like, I'm not really saying I'm for or against it, but I'm for you guys. Like, I believe in the retail investor and going against Wall Street. And I just want you to keep up the great work and, whatever. Like, I think that might be more so where he's coming from. Dan says he thinks Burry's going to give more of a history lesson on the stock and providing retrospective, interesting information. I think that's like the most likely case, is he's just like sharing things that are helpful and interesting. What led him to get involved? How does he see the current leadership? Maybe disclosing a little bit about what he talked about with Ryan Cohen or Roaring Kitty. Yeah, I'm with you, Chronic. I'll just see it in screenshots on Reddit. Anyways, in the past week, it kind of goes with the whole markets being down on the past couple trading days. Not dramatically down, but markets are down. Bitcoin is dramatically down, and simultaneously yields for the yen are continuing to go up dramatically. So there's a lot of kind of, some things coming together combined with um, Mr. President appointing a new Fed chairman, which some people have speculated that could be almost like a signal that the market's going to crash, or a plausible like alibi or scapegoat for a market crash, right? There's a lot of kind of, not quite tinfoil, but a lot of building blocks in this direction of, is the market finally ready to turn? But also this happens so many times, and it could just be a sharp sell off for 2 weeks before we start ripping higher into 2026. So again, the market crash as the catalyst for GameStop's appreciation up towards its technical value, it is one way that that can happen. But to me, it does still feel speculative. It feels out of the control of you and I. Not that we control GameStop's fundamental value either, but at least we can project it. And the fundamental breakout exceeding the market value, potentially being the catalyst for the market value beginning to revert course and head towards technical value, I think is much more plausible. But what's encouraging is right now they're happening simultaneously. And if they happen simultaneously, then you might get the boom bango, the two for one special, right? Which could end up causing a more violent move on the market value. Like it can move more quickly. Um, so anyways, that's some thoughts on the carry trade. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. Negative beta starting to kick in, right? Cost to borrow is still kind of hovering around 0.5. Potentially a lot of calls landed in the money at 22 this past Friday. Personally, I had some calls at 23. Did not land in the money, but I bought them for very, very cheap with a small amount of money. I think that's about everything I missed over this past week. But man, what a time to be alive, guys. What a time to be alive. Super pumped. Really excited to stream earnings in 8 days. I will have videos coming before then. On the stream earnings, I'm just like so giddy. And then in the following weeks, continuing to look at each kind of line item on their 10Q, comparing it to what I projected, and then being able to learn more about different business lines within GameStop, what the margins might be on those business lines, what the growth rates might be on those business lines, how does that affect the valuation for the company. I think it's going to be super, super exciting. So yeah, Chunkster says, do you think investors are selling off U.S. equities to pay off leverage in yen? As you see, again, markets declining some, Bitcoin declining dramatically, simultaneously to the yield continuing to increase for the yen. I think those two things going together, combined with GameStop inverting and hitting a bottom, like I am certainly, like I think that's very plausible. I mean, look how blood red so much of the market is. It's just exciting to see, but don't dance. But yeah, I think any yen carry trade unwind it's only a catalyst for GameStop. You know, it's not going to GameStop does not have longs from 2020 and 2021, right? No one that borrowed the yen to invest in the US, like some of them went long tech, some of them went short GameStop, short physical retail, right? None of them went long GameStop in 2020. Okay, so any unwind that happens, it's only going to be supportive for GameStop stock price. CrossFit George says, am I going to be able to dissect the Power Pack revenue? Yes. Yes, I am, CrossFit George, and I'm freaking pumped about it. Like, we're really going to know with a high level of clarity what are the Power Packs margins and revenue. And that is going to be such clutch information. That's been a project I've been working on. I know they're not the most interesting videos, but this whole craziness turning into a much clearer understanding. I want to talk about this stuff in a video soon, but piecing together what we know about their margins from 2017 and 2018 to then piece together with a high level of clarity what the breakdown is for their numbers in Q1 and Q2. I know you can't see these numbers. Is then going to give us a really solid frame of reference for Q3. So then once we actually get the full numbers, their gross profit margin total and their revenue number total, as well as the breakdown between hardware, software, collectibles, we're going to have a super clear understanding on digital power packs. And it's going to be just so amazing to see, because then we're also going to get to see the growth in that quarter over quarter, right? We know that in all likelihood, Power Packs is going to keep growing, right? Baseball and basketball were not even available in Q3 compared to Q4, right? This whole $2,500 Power Pack for Pokemon that's going to be available sometime today, that was not available in Q3, right? And so what happens with the revenue numbers, but then what happens with the margins, right? Do margins actually go up a little bit? Like we've seen GameStop's accumulation of cards go up dramatically, right? Their total cards available for sale. Here they are. Over almost 25,000 cards available for sale right now. And it was at just 8,000 a month ago. Crazy to see. Anyways, are the margins for power packs increasing quarter over quarter? Is it actually getting better? Is it static? Is it worse? It's going to be super great to see. Andrew, hey, great to see you, man. Glad you were here. Benjo says, I have an important question. How did you highlight my name like that? Oh, you probably just added me, and that's what it looks like. Can you do a Black-Scholes backed calculation for the price of the warrants based on October 16th, 2026, 32 call? Meaning, like, when the price goes to 30, what will the warrants be worth? Is that basically what you're asking? Yeah, I mean, IV is obviously a big impact to that as well. But I think we could dive into that in a video soon, the warrant values. But I think the most exciting part about holding the warrants is eventually converting them, rather than how much are they trading at. But it could, if you think the price is going to hit 30 in December and you think what if it doesn't hit 40 until October of next year? Which one is better? Would you rather sell it for whatever it's worth in intrinsic/extrinsic value in December, or hold it and then convert it? What's the difference? And what's the break-even price? Like, what share price needs to happen for it to have been worth it to hold? Personally, I would be surprised if GameStop was any lower than 40 a year from now. But I think I'm going to wait for Q3 numbers to come out, Benjo, to then look at where is GameStop sitting, and then warrant trading strategies in light of that. I think I'll probably do that then, because I think Q3 numbers, if you were thinking about selling the warrants versus holding them and then converting them down the road, I think December, January is probably about the time that you'd want to make that decision to sell if you're going to sell them. Personally, I'm not planning on selling any of mine, just so you know. So I do have that kind of bias, but I'm excited to look at the numbers and to get an idea of what's the risk reward holding versus converting, and how do we expect that price to then change in the coming quarters, right? Because again, this quarter is going to be a blowout in Q3, but then Q4 is going to be an even bigger blowout, right? And then Q1 is probably going to be an even bigger blowout because again, Q1 of 2025, there was no Switch 2 and there were no digital power packs, right? They had a negative $10 million operational loss in Q1 in 2025. So in Q1 of 26 comes out, it's going to be even more dramatic, right? So as it relates to the trailing 12-month numbers, right, it's about to go from 100 to 278, but then it's going to go to 398, and then it's going to go to 513, right, in just the next few quarters, right? It's man, it's just hard to, are y'all pumped about this? Like, it's hard to express how epic the turnaround is fundamentally, to where we're looking at a 3x, 4x, 5x of trailing 12-month operating income coming over the next few months, right? Q3 is going to get reported in 8 days. Q4 gets reported in April. Q1 gets reported in June, usually. So in 7 months, we will have 5x the trailing 12-month operating income. Incredible to see. And then it starts getting really fun as far as what PE is GameStop worth after it 5x's trailing 12-month operating income. Well, we're going to have a decent idea already of the growth rate of power packs quarter over quarter. But Q3 of next year is going to be the first time we see year over year power packs growth, right? But for the next 4 quarters, right, Q4, well, Q3 that gets reported in a week, and then Q4, Q1, Q2, the year over year numbers on all these are going to be ridiculous. But we will see the quarter over quarter sequential numbers for power packs, which will give us an idea on what is the underlying growth of this product, particularly once they finish unveiling all of the different types, right? So like right now, it started just Pokemon and football. Now they added baseball and basketball. Like, when do they get to the point where they're basically done adding more lines and we can just see like the pure mature product? How fast is that growing, right? From Q3 to Q4, how much of that growth is, oh, actually, Pokemon and football are selling about the same, but basketball and baseball sold a bunch, right? We're not going to know that for a minute, but you would think that quarter over quarter, the amount of new things they can add will slowly stagnate to where it's like they've almost hit their maturation in the short run, right? In the long run, they could add thousands of types of packs of all sorts of physical goods that are tokenized, right? So the long-term ramp of this is still ridiculous. I mean, just crazy ridiculous. But in the short run, like if tomorrow they opened, hey, you can buy office chairs, that are tokenized, like, is there anything they could add down the road? Once they finish, whatever, they put Yu-Gi-Oh in there, One Piece, and they put soccer in there. And like, once they kind of finish the main collectibles ramp, they put comic books in there. Then it's like, is there anything they could add onto that huge base they've already built that would like crazily move the needle in terms of growth? I don't think so. Even though they will be able to add more and more to continue to supplement the growth, I think you're going to start seeing those quarter over quarter numbers show you the true growth numbers. Right now, we don't even have a growth number. This is the first number. This is the first number we're even getting. And that's part of what's so exciting is the floor is 200 million, you know, which for a company the quarter before only doing, 900 million total to be like, hey, we have a brand new product. It's making at least 200 million, but it's about to go up every quarter. Like, just crazy. I mean, it'll probably go down Q1 to from Q4 due to holidays, but that's even another exciting part of this whole business. It's why I feel like it's the missing link, right? The Tetris piece is because it's not nearly as cyclical, right? Spending for consumers, of course, is higher in Q4, but digital power packs is is not a seasonal business line. It's entertainment. It's gambling adjacent, right? It's a superior gambling product, very sticky. It's not just oh, I'm buying a Christmas gift from a retailer. And so now I'm going to buy it in this quarter, right? It's no, I'm putting some money in power packs as part of my lifestyle, right? So I'm super excited to see how modest the dip is from Q4 to Q1 in power packs because obviously it's more extreme with games and consoles. It's a bigger dip, but power packs might actually be more steady than we think, which again would just be another reason to begin to price that into how you value the company. Um, Dan says all this bullishness makes me want to not swing trade the stock anymore. Thanks and glad to have you back. Hey, glad to have you here, Dan. Yeah, it's getting dicier and dicier to swing trade for sure. I mean, there's still the probability that GameStop continues to raise more capital and that there's still the probability of swap dates requiring short-term stock attacks, suppressions. So I wouldn't say like the opportunity to make money swing trading is gone, but yeah, um, you're definitely risking like a it's plausible now as fundamentals surpass the market value and that causes market value to invert more sharply. It's plausible that that also causes short staff to close more sharply, so if you sit on the sidelines, you could like it's in the cards from more than one angle that the stock has some really really exciting days ahead of it very soon. Um so yeah, I mean personally I'm kind of like not swing trading. Like I've got shares. I want to hold as many shares I can for as long as I can, and be a part of what we've suffered for, honestly, for 5 years. What we thought was imminent in 2021. It's like I didn't go through the past 5 years just to say I made it through and sell the shares at 32. You know what I mean? Um, Jay Card says massive upside on the sports collectibles. Yeah, and deepening their relationship with fanatics. Huge markets. John says, nice to see GameStop green on a day like today. It is green, and not everyone else is green on a day like today. Oh, and Jay Card says, oh, the very expensive high-end boxes. Yeah, the super niche, like those type of chase cars. Like you could have all types of chase stuff, like the super niche collectibles. But you could have like something like you could have a gold bar, like anything that has value to throw that in as a chase item is epic, but especially if the value is something that the buyer of that product would also really value, you know, um, like those more niche specific, like I don't know if you were buying like a Pokemon or like if you were buying a football thing, like you could have a chase experience, like whatever, like those different kind of raffles and type deals where you get to go to the combine all expenses paid and stay at a 5-star hotel and you get to meet, your favorite team or something. Like you could have super high value, high touch, awesome experiences that are also tickets, within some of these physical packs, and you could do it within the digital packs. Like it doesn't just have to be a physical ticket. And I love that they have the physical packs because they can test out some of these ideas on a limited quantity and then crunch the numbers, see if it's really working out the way they thought it would, and then incorporate that into the digital where it's just a money printer, you know? Really super exciting. Dan says, is your Power Packs valuation based on the fact that we're still in beta? I have to find and rewatch your video on that line item. Yeah, so I'm really excited to see what Power Packs does. I updated my collectibles business valuation. You probably mean my numbers. You probably don't mean my valuation for the collectibles business. You probably mean my projections for Power Pack sales. Um, and I think this could be, yeah, okay, confirmed projections. This could be low, but when Ryan Cohen, so anyways, I had this at like 275 back in the day. My first crack at it, I was thinking PSA is probably the main owner of the cards and GameStop is probably just getting a fee for selling the cards. After Ryan Cohen did that hour-long interview, it was clear that those roles were inverted. That PSA is getting a little fee for the transactions. They're just getting kind of free high profit dollars. But GameStop is the one that really owns the Power Packs business. They're the ones buying and selling the cards. And so they have a higher chunk of the revenue. It's lower margin revenue, but it's very scalable revenue. And so it's super impactful to the bottom line at the end of the day. When Ryan Cohen said that collectibles will be just about a third of company sales in 2025, that gives you a really good range for what's Power Packs doing so far. I ended up taking about 10 million down on my hardware and about 20 million down or 30 million down on my software. Like I started saying for Q3 and then another 50 million down in Q4. I was like, okay, what if I'm too bullish on these lines? And then what if just about a third is only 31.6%? Like it could be higher. And of course I'll do real Q4 projections after Q3 comes out. But I don't think it can be much lower than this. I really don't. As far as the 1.5 billion full year sales for the collectibles business, I think we just have a really high range of what it could be. Now, again, could it be more than that? Like, yeah, if you add $100 million in the collectible sales, you're still under a third, right? You're at 32.96. And again, one thing I've put out there is, hey, just about a third could mean 35%, right? We're all assuming it's going to be under. It's like it could be over, you know. I think it's more likely to be under, but again, could Switch 2 actually be doing more than 1,025 and it actually does 1,200? Like that's possible. And then does that give another 50 million that they could make in collectibles? Yeah, that's possible, you know. But again, you add it all together and that's, a $200 million swing total. And that's really kind of more or less the best case of what you could expect the full year numbers to look at. Like maybe it's 1.7 in collectible sales and 5.3 in overall sales. Or maybe it's what I have it right now is more like 1.5 in collectibles and 5.0 in total. But we'll see after Q3. We'll have a lot better idea. I'm super pumped. Dan says it's just interesting that these are the numbers and it's only in beta. And then he says, I wonder if Power Packs never actually releases to the public and you need a GameStop membership to access their packs. Hey, that would be fun. That would be fun. GameStop, I don't think I think they break even on their memberships. I don't think they really make money on their memberships. I think they use it as a way to reward customers, to generate loyalty, to generate more sales, not to be its own business line. But maybe Power Pack's demand is so high that they can leverage that to generate more loyal customers, to then generate more sales. Certainly possible. Um, Ake Zika. That's a good. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'll just call you Zika or Zyka. It says, how would a collectibles market crash affect GameStop? I will dedicate some videos to that because that has been a question that I've gotten before, but not very, not like a lot. Ultimately, long term, it would limit their upside, but the collectibles market is much larger than GameStop's collectible sales. And so GameStop is going to be able to continue to grow its market share even if the collectibles values go down. But if collectibles like long term are like no longer desirable, then of course that would hinder GameStop in the long term. But the question is like, why would that happen when fundamentally stores of value are increasingly important? Inflation is increasingly a problem. Government spending, government debt, government borrowing, and printing of money is continuing to be a problem globally. And so the need for stores of value is continuing to rise. And so if the demand for stores of value is going to keep rising, then the value of those stores of value will also be supported. So then it's, well, why would collectibles underperform other stores of value? And fundamentally, it's like they are the stores of value in the collectible space are all trending towards accessibility, right? Lower cost, more highly accessible opportunities, and they're all like meaningfully larger than where the cards are. You know, like the market cap of fine art, of luxury watches, of wine and whiskey, of jewelry, you know, far in excess of comic books and collectible graded cards. And yet all those things are much more difficult to acquire. So as far as using them as a way to store and exchange value, you're putting your money in things that are much less liquid, that have it's a lot it's a lot more difficult to turn that into value, to exchange the value. It's more difficult to access it, and then it's also more difficult to sell it. Whereas cards, you know, there are cards that are worth $10, $20, and there are cards that are worth $15,000. Like you have the denominations of dollar bills, right? We have the 1 and the 5 and the 20 and the 100. It's like, well, graded cards, you've got the 5 and the 10, the 20, the 50, the 100, the 200, the 300, the 500, the 4. Like you can denominate value much easier. You can acquire them much easier. You can store them much easier. And you can insure them much easier. You can travel with them much easier, right? They're fundamentally a better store of value than the other collectibles are. And the trends of the other collectibles show you that the demand for the graded collectibles is going to continue to increase because graded collectibles are easier to access than all of those other things. right? All these things are trending towards accessibility, but none of those are nearly as accessible as comic books and graded cards. So, anyways, yes, of course, the what if collectibles market crash, it doesn't immediately like hinder GameStop because GameStop just started. Like they have plenty of market share to grow, even if the total market is not as high as we think it could be. But as far as um, the long term, of course, you want the market to continue to grow. And if you think it's going to shrink or collapse, the question is just why? What's the catalyst and what odds do you place on that? And as you think about how to value the company, if you think those odds are very low, but you think the odds are decent that it actually keeps running, well, all of a sudden you wait it out and it's like, yeah, I think it still commands a much higher fundamental value than where it's currently trading. And that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. What's the market value? What's the fundamental value today? And are there scenarios where the fundamental value could decrease? Of course, of course. But what are the catalysts for those scenarios? What's the probability? Therefore, are the scenarios, and then what's the floor? Right? If you're talking about fair value, then you're just weighting it based on the probability. If you're talking about the floor case, then you're talking about what's the absolute worst case scenario for the company. When you're talking about your GameStop investment, if you are looking at the best case, you're kind of looking at this quadrant up here. If you're looking at the fair case, you're looking right here. You're looking at the floor case, you're looking at this quadrant. And if you're looking at the absolute worst case scenario, like what is the very, very floor price, no matter how low the odds, you're kind of looking at that bottom left quadrant, in my opinion. I'll dive into this in future videos because it's not really quite that simple. Chronic says RC should raise employee wages across the board, put GameStop in the news, holiday shopping. I mean, that's part of, he's going to be able to do it, right? GameStop's making more and more money, and they're operating fewer and fewer stores, and so they are going to be able to increase benefits for their employees. They are going to be able to increase wages for their employees. I don't think they need to do it right now, but it's certainly a competitive advantage. Something that's been a hindrance to GameStop's brand for so long is about to be inverted, right? To man, this company is actually better to work for than like any other retailer. Super exciting. Afro says, would be interesting world where hobbies and stores of value, nostalgia, and gambling market all crashed. Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, it's like, hey, if all these things are crashing, then everything's crashing. Like zombies are coming, the apocalypse is near. If there's no demand for store of value, and there's no demand for gambling, like there's no demand for financial stability, security. There's no demand for dopamine and entertainment. It's almost like, what kind of dystopia are we in at that point? Afro's buying beans and ammo, if that's the world we're talking about. Baby UFO says, plot twist, Ryan buys out AMC, pays off all their debt, and consolidates into Galaxy Entertainment Corp. I am not an AMC bull, I gotta say. But if you are, then Ryan Cohen coming to save your company is probably the best case scenario you can imagine. The problem is I'm sure AMC probably has some. Oh, thanks for the new sub, whoever just subbed. I'm sure there is some technical value in excess of market value for AMC. Like I'm sure it's been highly shorted, but the fundamental value, I just don't see at all. Like, what drives more people to the movie theaters now compared to 10 years ago? Baby UFO says that they think AMC is on the fast track to bankruptcy. Thanks for the clarification. Yeah, I mean, I do too. But could it have had a similar story to GameStop? I mean, hypothetically, if there was any if there was any sector support, but the sector itself is imploding as far as movie theaters. Whereas GameStop, like being a retailer of consoles, it's not a sexy business by any means, but like it is a real business. Like people still want to buy consoles, and the video games is still a growing industry, and so like there is a man, what's going to be GameStop's growth story? What's going to take them to the next leg? Which now we know the answer is power packs, but even before you had that, back in 2021, it's like, well, they're going to exist. Like if they can cut costs and get this thing right, like they can sell stuff in stores. Gamers are still out there. Games are still out there. Enthusiasts for game brands are still out there. You have your stands for all these different IPs and characters that have been created by different gaming enterprises, and gaming development's not going anywhere, and there's no competition, right? There's no national retailer in the gaming space anymore. And so you just knew, like, even if it's a super long road, a super bumpy road, like the fundamental support for this business's existence is really there, where that's just what AMC lacked. I know you said you're just kidding UFO about AMC, but I figured I'd chat about it for a sec. Okay, I should probably go get some work done, but it has been a good 2 hours. I'll be back on some shorter videos soon. I wanted to catch up on what did we miss over the past week. Send a cheers to you guys for a green day and a green week. Really exciting. What's up, WJP? Hey, glad you're here. And we will be back into the deep dive, level-headed fundamental analysis in a video soon. All right, that's all I got for y'all today. I will see you in the next one. Cheers.